Alrighty folks, time for another tank update. Look at who we got here, our new bluegill. And check out this guy. Y'all remember him? That's Clyde. We still have not put Bonnie in. We wanted to put the smaller bass in and Clyde to see how he and the bluegill got along. They've been doing great. So we're going to talk more about the bluegill and its name here at the end of the video. Got some really cool things going on. We dropped down some worms in there and they fight over them and stuff, so it's pretty cool. Alright, so we're going to talk more about the fish later, but right now we are going to talk about this grass. And it is not doing so good, but that was kind of to be expected. So we ordered a CO2 injection system and it was going to take, about a week to a week and a half to get here. And so in the meantime, we were going to use this Flourish XL. And so what we found was that every time we dosed the water with it, the fish were unhappy. So they would start swimming around up at the surface and you can tell that it was really bothering them. So we just decided to quit putting it in and we were just going to wait on the CO2 system to come in because we didn't want to harm our fish. So it's not necessarily a negative review about the Flourish, but we didn't have good results with it, so we were going to wait for the CO2. So this video we're going to talk about setting up our CO2 system. And for those of you who are not familiar, if you have live plants in your aquarium, it requires CO2. Plants require CO2 in order to grow and flourish. So we're going to talk about setting up the CO2 system. We're going to talk about these fish, show a little feeding clip here at the end, and just kind of walk you through our setup of our complete CO2 system and what all it takes to get this put in. What do you think about it, Milo? Alright, so to talk a little bit about the installation of this, I'm going to preface it with the fact that we are no experts, but we've done some research on it, and we're going to show you our setup, and we're going to monitor it for a few weeks, and if we make mistakes, you can kind of learn through the journey with us. So this is our sump down here, and the first dilemma that we came across was we have a pump that's pumping about 1,200 gallons per hour from our sump back into our main tank. So we got two hoses, one coming here, one coming back up here. So you don't necessarily want to inject CO2 into a 600, each branch has 600 gallons per hour coming off of it, so you don't necessarily want to put the reactor in line with that because it's just too much flow going through there. So what we've decided to do, and this is a trial for us, is we're going to put an additional pump down here and we're going to put the reactor and we're going to inject the CO2 into this water. And the one tip I'll give you, the one thing that I've learned, is that you don't want to inject your CO2 into anywhere that has a lot of bubbles or a lot of surface activity, because that will gas off your CO2 and you're basically not getting any effect from it. So we're going to attach an additional pump down here, get our whole system set up in the sump, inject the lower portion with the CO2, and then pump it up. And another thing is you don't want those return pumps to be pumping on top of the surface either, because then you'll gas it that way as well. So you want to make sure you have those underwater. Alright, so I'm going to give you some quick terminology about all the pieces and parts, so that way if we're talking about it later in the video you'll understand a little bit about what we're saying. So to start off with, the water is going to be sucked in from the sump right there into the bottom here, through here, up into the reactor. We're going to have CO2 coming out of the regulator into the top of the reactor here, coming down, and then the outlet will go here out and back into the sump there. So we also have a pinpoint pH, and it's got a pH probe here that is going to measure that pH, and then the regulator will also hook up to that, and it'll regulate exactly how much CO2 is required to maintain that pH. So that's just a quick overview of it. Now we're going to start hooking some of this up. Alright, and one more quick look now that I've got everything hooked up here. This is our pump. It's going to put fresh water into here, and then as it comes up, it's going to take a sample through this probe, and the controller is going to control to a set point, and it's going to tell the valve how much pressure to either increase or decrease. The CO2 will flow down through here. Make sure you install a check valve that keeps water from going back up into your regulator. And so now as that CO2 comes down into the reactor, it comes out back into our sump, and that's how it's going to be set up. Alrighty, now we are about to calibrate our pinpoint pH controller right here, and we have some solutions that have a set pH of 7 and this one has a set pH of 10. So we are going to use these two solutions along with the little dipper there. Liz, what do you call that? Probe? Pinpoint probe?
Yeah.
So we got Liz here with me. She's going to help me calibrate our pH controller, and we're going to just run through this real quick because I'm sure not a lot of you are that interested in this. Neither is Milo right there. So we're going to do it, and we should get a good readout. Once we calibrate it, that should say 7.0 when we're dipping it in the 7.0 pH and 10 when we're in the 10 pH. Alright, we have calibrated it. Liz is going to show you real quick chemistry class. We're going to take it and dip it in. We're going to rinse it off so there's no solution on it. Then we're going to dip it into the yellow solution right there, and that should go to 7.0 on our pH level. Let's go ahead all the way. So now there we go. 7.0. We've got that baby calibrated. Perfect. It'll kind of slowly tick down until it evens out dead at 7.0. Alright, Liz, let's go ahead and rinse it and go to the 10 solution. There we go. Overshot it a little bit, it should start coming back down. There we go. Settled back in. It overshot it for just a little bit, but it settled back in. So there we go, 10.0. So we have our pinpoint pH controller calibrated. Now we are ready to hook up the CO2. Alright guys, we're going to take a break from chemistry session, and it is time to feed Clyde and our new bluegill. So Liz is going to drop a worm in the tank, and watch this right here. Oh, it's a fight for it. Clyde got it first. Bluegill, you missed out, buddy. Alright, Clyde versus the new bluegill. Let's see round 2. Bass versus bluegill challenge. I was feeding them last night, dropped a worm in, and they each grabbed one end of the worm, and it was quite a scene. So Liz is going to drop a minnow in now, and you can tell Clyde's been in the tank longer. He knows when it's feeding time. The bluegill, you gotta come out of your shell, buddy. Alright, another minnow. Whoop, he escaped the bass. Nope, bluegill's backing off. Bass after attack. Nope, that minnow may survive. I don't know. Clyde may be getting full. It's a showdown. Oh, showdown. No, he didn't make it. Clyde 4, new bluegill 0. But I bet you he's fixing to get one of these new worms. Clyde's full now. Look at him. Definitely full. He's fixing to let the bluegill eat. Alrighty, we're about to come in with another worm. Got him! He finally got to enjoy my nice little worm there. Alright, so one more quick update. Bonnie is still in the other tank. We're letting these two get adjusted to the new tank because when Bonnie comes in, she eats everything. It's tough to ever let one of these other guys get a chance to feed. So we wanted to kind of introduce the bluegill to a bass, make sure they all got along good, and so far everything's been going really good. So we're about to feed another worm. I think if we feed them enough, they'll each get full. Yep, yeah, he sees it. Got him. Nice.
You think it's that's a worm?
I think they're two little pals right here. They both get along real good. Clyde's a little bit quicker to the gun on eating than the bluegill, but I think the gill's gonna get used to it. Alright, and one of the final steps before we hook this up into our aquarium, we do a leak check, and then they call it a bleed down test, as to where you close this valve completely and you open this one completely, and you can see we had 800 pounds of pressure right there, and you just want to make sure that you maintain that pressure for 15 minutes before you actually hook it up, so it checks out all these connections and make sure that you're not leaking any CO2. Alright, one more test. We're going to do a bubble counter, and this right here will show us how many bubbles we have per second. And you can see as we crank it up, first we have to turn our CO2 valve on, gain a little pressure up at the top. We'll get it up around 3 just for testing. There we go, we got it at 3 right there. Now we should see 1 bubble per second. There we go, bubble per second. Now we're going to crank it up a little bit. Yep, there we go. So that's how you adjust how much CO2 is put into your tank, by these little knobs, just like that. And that's bubbles per second there. Alright, so we finally got everything installed. I'm going to give you a quick look at how we have it set up. So we just put our reactor kind of hanging over the edge of our sump. And then back there in the back is our new pump that pumps water up into the reactor. Then the CO2 comes in, and then it comes out this side and just enters back into the sump right there, right beside the pump that takes it up to the main aquarium. So hopefully all that's going to work out really good for us. So now we're going to take a look over here. The last little part is we got our pinpoint controller sitting right down there. We're right around 7 pH level. We got our tank and our regulator back here in the back. Alright, so we're going to start winding this video down, but first I'm going to tell you some of the things you can look forward to in our next videos. We're going to install these Vortec Quiet Drive power heads. Now these things are going to put off a lot of water flow and kind of simulate current and create a good flow throughout the tank, and that's kind of important to have in a tank of 300 gallons. We're also going to install a fire alarm, a water leak detector, just for peace of mind, so that'll be something you can look forward to. And then over here we ordered a piece of dragon stone, and I kind of like this. I think we're going to kind of shift gears here for this side of the tank. 90% of the time these fish hang out up under the bonsai tree. So rather than having decorative pieces in here, I think we're going to go a more natural approach. We're going to build them up some dragon stone, and we may even build like a bridge or something made out of wood. Dragon stone here, dragon stone there, and then a bridge in between, something for them to sit up under and kind of shield themselves. So if you like that idea, leave a comment below about that. Alright guys, it is time to discuss the name of this massive bluegill right here. And we got a lot of good suggestions on names. They were hilarious, some were funny, some were really intelligent about, you know, some history of Bonnie and Clyde and some of the past gang members, brothers, banks that they robbed, stuff like that. So as you can see, these two are getting along real good right here. But the name that we settled on after much debate was Sheriff. So this little guy right here is going to be the sheriff of Bonnie and Clyde. He's going to make sure he keeps those two in check, and that could be a tough duty for him. So if you left a comment named Sheriff and you were the first 5 people to do it, make sure you stay to the end of this video, send us a message, and we'll send you out a little prize pack for doing that. So now we've kind of completely stuck with the Bonnie and Clyde theme. We've got a sheriff and 2 outlaws, and we know there's going to be some savage things going on in this tank, so it's a perfect fitting theme for this aquarium. But most importantly, the next aquarium update video we put out, Bonnie will be in here. You can see the little bait tank down below. Well, we're going to put her in the big tank with Clyde and Sheriff, and it'll be the 3 amigos. Alright, now we're going to do a worm feeding, and Liz is going to drop them in. Hopefully we'll get a nice little duel here like I've seen in the past. Alright guys, so make sure you subscribe. We got a lot of cool things coming up with this aquarium, and the next time you see it, you will see the 3 amigos in here. So Liz, sign off for us.
There's a new sheriff in town.
Bonnie and Clyde were pretty looking people, but I can tell you people they were the devil's children. Bonnie and Clyde.